All right, welcome back to KM6LYW Radio, the show about amateur radio or ham radio, reimagining radio in the information age. Hey, today let's talk about AX.25 radio networking. It's really simple. It's you see what I type, I see what you type. This time on KM6LYW Radio. All right, welcome back. Yeah, it's the cheap bumper music. All right, let's do this. Let's do AX.25 networking. So I could tell you all about Linux networking and programming and the AX.25 network protocol, how it's like a PRS or only extension of that. But I'm not going to do that. All I'm going to do is say, hey, go get the DigiPi SD card image from digipi.org. Goes to patrons of the channel. It's kind of like the lab assignment for this channel is to get the DigiPi software. And once you get that SD card image, put it in a Raspberry Pi here and hook it up to a radio. This is obviously a really expensive radio, but we're just using VHF today, and this is like the most expensive Raspberry Pi. You don't need $1,000 radio to do this. You can use a $18 Raspberry Pi here and a simple, actually this radio is down to $18 and a radio interface adapter, the AIOC. And you are in business, you can do all of this, but we're going to use the expensive radio here today to justify the price tag. So this is an ICOM 705 hooked up to a Raspberry Pi 5 with the USB cable, and we got a nifty little screen on it. Now to totally set up AX.25 networking so we can do keyboard to keyboard with our friends on VHF, we do the complicated step of pressing on next to AX.25 node network, and then DigiPi does the rest. Now you've got your radio on the network. You need to also find a network in your area. I did a whole video on seeing if you have got packet in your area. Here we've got a very robust network on 145.050. You can see I'm up here and there's a cool node. We're going to see if we can talk to him and all these other nodes, even all the way out to San Francisco. With AX.25 networking, we can not only talk radio to radio, but we can actually network through other repeaters, packet repeaters. To get all over California and even into Oregon and Los Angeles if we want to. So there's a couple of different things we can use now that we have a radio on the network. We need some sort of like terminal emulator. We need some sort of keyboard interface where I can see what you type and you can see what I type. There's a few options for this. One is called LinPac. David put this together, David Ranch. Thank you, David. LinPac's cool. It's been around a long time. It's very Linux-centric. It's kind of the old standard. But there's a new one I wanted to mention, and that's called Paracon. Paracon. I don't know what this was written in. Paracon. It's on GitHub. So Paracon on GitHub. It's kind of a little more gentle, easier user interface to help you get started in packet radio. So we're going to look at both of those, and we're going to connect to another system and send it commands and maybe connect to a bulletin board, maybe talk to another radio. Let's see what we can do with these two terminal emulators. All right, so let's take a look at Paracon and LinPac. In no particular order, we're at the Paracon GitHub site, and let's click on the latest release page here. And this is where we actually get the Python compressed application package, a PYZ, and this will run on Windows, Mac, Linux. Go ahead and download Paracon and simply run it. I've got a terminal open here, and I can say Paracon. I'm happen to be on Linux, but it doesn't matter. 130 PYZ, and I start it. It takes a second to start, and here we are. We are at the Paracon starting page. There's a lot of Windows and strange stuff to read and type here. So when you're using an AX.25 terminal, there's two modes, and this is where it gets a little bit confusing. Okay, there's connected mode, and then there's what's called Unproto mode. So in connected mode, you're actually connected to another station, and all you see is what they type, and all they see is what you type. You don't see any other stuff flying around on the air. Now in Unproto or unconnected mode, you're basically in promiscuous mode, listening to anything that hits your antenna. It could be control data, it could be another person, it could be two other people having a conversation. You're just listening to what's on the air. And of course, if you want to type something in Unproto mode, it's basically like shouting out on the radio and hoping someone hears you. There's no connections, there's no protocols, there's no acknowledgments. You don't know if anyone heard you. This is what Unproto mode is. It's kind of like the UDP of AX.25 networking. So since we're a little more civilized than this shouting into the air, we have connected mode where we can actually connect to a particular server. So I can say, well, first of all, let's go to setup. And what we want to do is use Paracon to connect to DigiPi. The host name is DigiPi. That happens to be this guy on my network. And we're going to connect to port 8000. That's the AGWPE port, which DigiPi fully supports. So any apps that are AGWPE or KISS aware, you can use with DigiPi. So we'll enter our call sign here and we'll say OK. Now, the first thing I want to do is just connect to something. And we're going to use connected mode, not Unproto mode, where we're just shouting into the air like how the Native Americans used to do it hundreds of years ago. No, we're going to do connected mode here. And I am going to connect to a node called Cool. I know this will work because it's actually at the top of the hill. We have an AX.25 network node, which is also a DigiPi running this exact same software, but it's acting as a server right now. And my call is going to be KM6LYW. And I'm going to say, okay. We're connecting to Cool. I don't know if you can hear the packets. They're loud in here. All right, and Cool is actually a BBS, so there's a bulletin board. If this sounds a lot like the 1980s modems and bulletin boards, it's because that is the sound we used in the 80s to connect to bulletin boards. It's really a 1200 baud modem control tones or modulation. So here we are on DigiPi. We've got, we can enter a chat room. We can play Zork. We can see other nodes that are nearby. I'm just going to type nodes. And let's see what other nodes this guy has heard recently. And we can connect to any one of these nodes because it's established routes to them. So I could actually connect to Santa Clara. That's David. This is the actual author of LinPac. Hey, it's good to have local guys here in Santa Clara in the Bay Area. So that's over 100 miles from me. So I could easily connect to Santa Clara using the NetROM on this bulletin board. Or we could play Zork, or we can enter a chat room. Like there's a chat room on DigiPi. So I just type chat. We enter the chat room. It says connection established. There are 2 users because I already set one up, and I've got another window over here running Converse on my PC, and I can say, hey, can you hear me? Now we're in a chat room. And you can see over here, it says, hey, can you hear me on the bulletin board? So this is my Linux PC and running Converse. And then this, or it could be IRC chat too. So yeah, we can go back and forth and say, hey, yeah, yep, I can hear you. Hit return there. And you can see it's all going over RF, right? So we're talking in a chat room on a bulletin board. So that's just one of the uses for AX.25. I can connect to all the other nodes that you just saw here. I can connect to a particular call sign. So if someone else is running Paracon on their DigiPi, I can just connect to their call sign. So, I mean, if your call sign was K61ABC, I would just say connect to, actually, what I want to do is hit Alt T to open a new tab. I can have multiple conversations open at the same time, and I say connect to, I don't know, maybe there's another station called K-band. It just happens to be a digipeater. What I can also do is connect via another radio. So maybe I want to connect to something that I can't reach. I can connect to, I don't know, there's one that's hard to reach called Woody, and I'm going to talk to him via K-band, and I know where these are because I have a network map here somewhere. Hey, that's the Discord channel. I don't know where this is. Anyways, Woody I can't reach, but I can reach him via K-band. So I'm going to say okay, and let's connect. And what you're going to hear is K-band repeating my signal on the radio, assuming it hears me. So Woody via K-band. Wait for it. You see down here, this down on the bottom here is the monitor. That's where we're just yelling. That's where we're just hearing what's on the wire, okay? And then up top is our connected mode information. So we actually see connected to wild node, Woody, N6ZX. Hey, thank you for hosting this N6ZX. So I'm on his bulletin board. So I can see what nodes he's connected to by doing a node long listing. And again, I can't connect to Woody. He's over the horizon. So I'm actually connected to him via K-band. And this is K-band doing the repeats. And we can see it down here how it's working, like Woody, KM6LYW via K-band. And the little asterisk here means this packet was actually transmitted by K-band, or at least he was involved in that path. So I'm just going to say bye to stop the insanity. And you can do the same kind of stuff in the send and pray screen, the Unproto screen. You can see there's all this activity was here. I can actually set my if I want to shout into the ether, into the space, I can actually send it to, when we're just shouting into the ether, there is no destination. So most of us here, we just put our first name as the destination. Remember, we're in Unproto mode. We're just shouting into the air. And then we can select a bunch of repeaters that we want this packet to bounce through, and hopefully someone will hear it. So I'm going to have this go through the cool node. I'm going to have to go through the K-band node, kind of like what we did, and then go to Woody, which I know I can't reach. And then I'm going to have it come back, all the way back to K-band. We're going to see what happens here. I'm going to say, okay. So I'm going to say, hey, this is a Unproto test. All right, here we go. Now watch, let's see how this packet gets routed. All right, we saw it get repeated by cool. There's the asterisk. We saw it get repeated by K-band. That was the next one. There's the asterisk there. That was that packet. We didn't get it hear it be repeated by Woody because he's over the horizon. But down here, we did again hear the packet by K-band again. So K-band heard Woody. So we went there and back again. So this is a good way to test the network, is to create a big loop like we just did. And I just went all over Northern California here using the Unproto, sending a packet out for fun. Maybe someone saw that, maybe they didn't. Maybe I can say, hey, I'm open for a chat here, and someone would connect to KM6LYW, then suddenly they would pop up here into the tabs, in the connected tabs. So connected mode and Unproto mode and routing. See, we covered all that just using this one cool client, Paracon. So that takes us to LinPac. So Paracon isn't officially on the DigiPi SD card image, okay, but LinPac is. If you go here and click on AX call, you'll see run LinPac down here. So in the next version of DigiPi, we'll put in Paracon. There's a few bugs I want to fix first, but we'll get that dialed in for you. But right now, you can just download it and run it on your PC. So let's run LinPac down here, which is available on DigiPi here today. It says it's using the existing AX.25 interface, and this should look really familiar. Now, LinPac has the same connected mode and Unproto mode, where we're just yelling into the ether. Now, you use your function keys to do these. So this is a connected mode. So this is tab 1, and then I can go to tab 2, 3, 4, and tab F10. If I press F10, that's the special one. That's connected mode. And it's not as pointy clicky. You don't really use your mouse here. So if I want to set my routing destination, let's say I want to do that loop again, I do undest, quote, Craig, and then a space, not a comma, and I can do cool. Now let's do that loop again. We'll go to cool to K-band to Woody, and then back to K-band again. All right, so now that's my route has been set with the undest command. I don't know, it's kind of a, I'd choose different words for these if we could redo this, but hey, this has been around a while. So, hey, this is a test loop on Unproto again with LinPac. These are longer packets. We'll see if this makes it. There it goes, and we're seeing exactly the same thing, right? So we saw it go through cool, we saw it go to K-band. We didn't see it come back from Woody because he's over the horizon, but K-band heard it, and so here we see the entire packet chain came there and back again. Hey, this other stuff that you're seeing here that's hitting the wire right now, this is a routing table. I'm kind of glad this popped up here. This is called a NetROM routing table. So for the John station, the John packet node, these are all the nodes that he can reach. And this is how these, the DigiPis and the NetROM AX.25 network nodes discover each other and establish the routing table. So you see the name of the station, we got gold, and his call sign and his link quality. Like 192 is a super awesome quality. That means he can talk to him directly. So if you don't know how to reach one of these nodes, don't worry. If you're using NetROM like on the BBS on DigiPi, you can just say connect to rock, and it'll route through the intermediate nodes because it's listening to these NetROM routing tables. Pretty cool. So that you got to see how a little bit behind the curtain on how AX.25 NetROM routing works. So we did it. We totally did this on DigiPi. We can say I'm actually going to do a :C. That's a command like for connect, and I can do cool. So this is connected mode, right? I'm just going to connect to the cool node, and all I'm going to see upstairs here is what cool says. And downstairs here is just whatever's hitting the wire. So here we are at the cool node again. You know, I get into the chat room. I can play Zork. I can enter the Zork command here. We've also got Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy on there for you Infocom fans. And so here we are, we're playing Zork, right? You know, open mailbox. You guys have done this before. You know who you are. If you're my age, you played the crap out of this game. But anyways, this is a waste of time for amateur radio, obviously. But instead of Zork, it could be something important like, an Aries kind of thing, a spreadsheet. Where are resources? Where's fuel? Where's water? Clean food? This could be a disaster thing. But right now we're playing Zork just for fun. So that's cool. So we're playing Zork, read leaflet. And this will give you an idea about how fast it is. It's 1200 baud. That was pretty quick. It's kind of like America Online, only there's no wires. This is all done with radio and has a range of 80 miles or within multiple states if you're using NetROM and AX.25 routing on top of this. So I think this is pretty cool. So I'm going to go ahead and hit quit, and we're going to quit out of Zork. I want to leave. I got 0 points. Rank of beginner. And then I'm going to say bye and disconnect. Notice it no longer says cool down here under tab 1, tab 2, 3, 4. Now remember, F10, tab 10 is the special one. So see how the screen changed? And this is where we're just shouting, this is another test. And I don't expect anyone this won't connect to anything, but it will bounce around the undest route that we set up here. And maybe someone saw me, maybe you know who you are. You know who you are in California, and you'll see me type in messing around here, and then suddenly I'll see someone's call sign pop up under the F1 tab, and we'll be talking keyboard to keyboard, person to person. And maybe we're going through repeaters, maybe we're not. I don't know. So this is LinPac, very similar to Paracon. It's more Linux oriented. So this is actually written in C. So it's definitely a Linux oriented client for AX.25 and NetROM. So everything I just said about VHF, we can also do on HF. In fact, there is a frequency 14.105. It's called the 105 network, and it's lower sideband. I know that's weird. So 14.105 lower sideband, and we can do all of this on HF. So we can do this globally. The trick to doing this on DigiPi is to start the APRS, HF, TNC. I know that's weird. We're not actually doing APRS, but then go down to AX call and say leave. And then run LinPac from here. And now it's going to use the HF modem, okay? And it's going to be using the 300 baud modem with forward error correction. So I'm going to hit F10 to Unproto mode. I'm going to say, this is a radio test on HF. And I don't know if you could hear that, but it's definitely a different modulation technique. It's a 1600, 1800 mark in space there. And you'll see other folks here. In fact, you just saw K5DAT. He's outside of California. We're hearing people come in on HF over AX.25. Looks like he just disconnected from someone. He's sending disconnect commands here. So yeah, it's totally working. And we see other call signs popping up here. So we got keyboard to keyboard working on HF here. Actually, I'm kind of stoked we got to see somebody poking up here. So yeah, he's in another state. He could be 1,000 miles away right here on 14.105. So I just put you guys on pause for a second so you can kind of see what some of the traffic looks like on here. We got N0IMJ was the last packet we got. And people are sending broadcasts. It looks like this is a LinBPQ bulletin board out there. We can get space weather forecasts. We can log into the bulletin board and get some cool information. This guy's actually in Colorado, Parker, Colorado, for a BPQ packet node. And of course, I can reach him from California, no problem. So yeah, HF, AX.25, keyboard to keyboard, pretty cool. All right, so thanks for hanging out with me today. That's a lot of fun doing keyboard to keyboard stuff on amateur radio. That's kind of the essence of data modes, reimagining radio in the information age. Hey, I got to give a shout out to patrons here. All of these people have access to DigiPi, so we know they're all online doing data modes, hopefully keyboard to keyboard stuff. So patreon.com/KM6LYW. It's because of these awesome people that there's no adverts on this channel. So we don't run ads here. I don't like them any more than you guys. So patreon.com/KM6LYW, and membership has its benefits. You immediately get access to digipi.org. That's the URL takeaway. And you can download that SD card and do everything we just did here today. Put that SD card in your Raspberry Pi, hook it up to your radio, and you can do keyboard to keyboard and so much more. We've integrated all of the data modes into DigiPi, and you can access them all, you notice, with the web browser. And this could be with your PC, It could be with your Wi-Fi device, your phone. You can run when you go to like set it up. You don't need to know the Linux command line. This isn't like another half-baked Raspberry Pi project. It's all web-based. You can do everything in your web browser, including your radio connection interface, your call sign, all of that. As far as the modes go, we got all the APRS modes you can think of. In fact, we got them going right here. We got APRS up and running. You can be a digipeater, a tracker. We've got the HF modes there. And maybe you're into WSJTX. We can display that in your web browser. You could be in your easy chair in the other room operating your radio with FT8 or slow scan, FTL, Digi, JS8 call, all available here via a web interface. Hooks up to any radio. You can use any Pi you want. We've got these cool little screens on here that we got drivers for. Bunch of radio interface adapters. I've been really amazed at how the hardware community has stepped up to make connecting your radio to a computer really easy. We've got APRS web chat interface. This is popular. This is unique to DigiPi with the APRS D project. And Linux Node, we just did this as the bulletin board. Masters Communication has a cool radio interface. I really like this one. It's pretty cool with the little screen. Big Pi, Little Pi, Tracker, we can do email. Of course, here's FT8 running here in your browser. Here's, what is this? FL Digi doing some keyboard to keyboard over PSK31. It's another keyboard to keyboard mode, right? It's totally cool. And that's more send and pray though, right? There's no acknowledgments. And then we've got the JS8 call running in your browser on a tablet, all kind of slow scan television. I haven't done SSTV a lot lately because I don't know, the band conditions just haven't been good. And then of course, here's our bulletin board actually displaying on our phone. Of course, when you're in the field, it becomes a Wi-Fi hotspot. So this would be indispensable for your POTA and park operations. But when you're home, it connects to your home Wi-Fi. So guys, thanks for hanging out with me. You can tell I'm stalling for time here because the patron list is so long. The support has been overwhelming, you guys. It's, hey, we actually made it through the list. I really do appreciate it, guys. Hey, my name's Craig, amateur radio call sign KM6LYW. I'm in California and I'm clear.